at Kerala looks ahead, an international.
Chairperson, Kerala State Planning Board, to deliver the welcome address.
Mehmet. Good morning.
Thank you, Ardra. Chief Minister, Minister for Industries, Shri E.P. Jayarajan, Mr. Ratan Tata, Mr. Azim Premji, Mr. Anand Mahindra, Ms. Kiran Majumdar Shaw, Mr. K. Gopalakrishnan, Mr. M.A. Yusuf Ali, Mr. B. Ravi Pillai, Mr. Asad Mupan, Professor Jayan Jose Thomas, and Mr. Dr. Vivianu, who will join us, Member Secretary, who will join us soon. Welcome to this special session on industry of Kerala Looks Ahead, a conference and consultation that has been in progress since February the 1st. Welcome, and we are honored by your presence. If I may start on a somewhat personal note, when I was invited to work in the State Planning Board, this was in 2016, a common refrain of industrialists outside the state was put to me in these words by a friend, a Mumbai industrialist. It was, isn't Kerala interested in attracting industrial investment to the state? This was the question that was put to me. This was in 2016, in August, in the first 3 months of the present government. This gathering, this extraordinary gathering, held 4.5 years later, is a testimony to the fact that that perception, that isn't Kerala interested in attracting investment to the state, has been banished entirely. Can there be any doubt or any difference of opinion in that the change is because of the leadership this government has provided, of the leadership of the Chief Minister, Pinarayi Vijayan, his cabinet colleagues, and the government of Kerala? While this change in perception is, I believe, the greatest achievement of the government in the sphere of industry, it has been hard work getting there. When we started with the government in 2016, the government of Kerala took a decision that while it would continue to broaden and deepen the concentration on human development indicators, health, education, social justice, for which our state is and is justly famous, it would use these achievements as a springboard, as a foundation for new achievements in actually material production, whether in agriculture, but particularly in industry, in income-bearing services, in infrastructure, and of course, in order to create skilled employment for our youth, particularly for our youth, within Kerala itself. For this, many measures were taken. The first was what is commonly called as a gamut of policies that go towards easing doing business. The attempt to not only the attempt, the actual fact of having reduced red tape, not only reducing red tape, but communicating the urge for investment, which was coming from below as well, by the way. But communicating it to all levels of government, to communicating the need for the ease of doing business to all levels of government, whether at the state or at the local government levels. This was one of the tasks that the government took very seriously, and that has been shown in a series of conferences and actual practice. The success of this has shown up in the consistent increase in the share of manufacturing in Kerala's state domestic product over these years, and in the diversification of Kerala's industrial structure. I believe that we are now on the threshold of a structural change in Kerala's economy towards the modernization in terms of industrial and industrial services, income-bearing services, infrastructural activity, and value addition-led agriculture. Please remember that this has been a time also when the per capita consumer expenditure in Kerala is rising, and secondly, it's almost 60% higher than the rest of than the national average. So this makes it possible to create a domestic market for a very wide range of industrial products. It's a very important part of the possibilities for industry. May I also say that there are a very large range of possibilities in the area of industry. You see, further possibilities. One is our skilled, conscious, and digitally literate labor force. Kerala stands hugely to benefit from this. And for that reason, this conference has had sessions not only on industry, but also on e-governance, IT, skill development, to try and learn from international experience in these fields. You see, in a previous era, when industry was dependent on large tracts of land, on heavy industry and locational advantages, well, that was a different phase, and it had very different implications for Kerala. We are a state rich in natural resources, including marine resources, but we are also a state with limited land space. 30% of we are proud that 30% of our area is under forest. So the kind of topographic and spatial conditions necessary for the old smokestack type industries simply did not exist in Kerala, quite apart from the fact that we are located in a corner in the southwest. However, the new technological possibilities opened up by what can be called, what is often described as Industry 4.0, makes it possible for Kerala to reap the advantages of this wide domestic market, of the location of its natural resources. In fact, indeed, of its location as a whole, and its extraordinary scenic beauty and location. It is also, because of its historic advantages in education, that too feeds in to the prospects of modern industry today in Kerala. We believe that we can actually become, shortly, we hope very quickly, the skilled labor hub of India. It's very much within our capabilities, I think. Today, over the last few days, we have had, it is because of this new set of circumstances that have accumulated over the last 4.5 years that the Chief Minister was keen to have this conference. This conference was to look into new areas of endeavor and economic development and income growth that were made possible, that have been made possible by by our history of human development and by the extraordinary changes in policy that have occurred over the last 4 years. As you are aware, we had another session on industry, on industrial growth and industrial possibilities in Kerala yesterday, where a large range of possibilities in the sphere of industry were discussed. We discussed and look forward to further discussion on the latest developments in the areas of technologies, products, and industrial promotion policies for the state of Kerala that are relevant to the state of Kerala. But we solicited these opinions from across Kerala, from across India, and across the world. And today we wait eagerly to hear your opinions, the opinions of this galaxy of leaders of industry on the question. In the first session, at the inaugural session of this conference, Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan made it very clear that this conference is not being convened to teach or to preach. This conference is not convened to announce the achievements of Kerala to the world. But this conference has been convened to learn from the best practices and experiences all over the world, to try and distill their relevance for Kerala, and look ahead to a modern, progressive future. In that, I have no doubt that this session, reflecting an extraordinary record of experience and contribution to the industrial sphere, will be a standout session. I look forward to hearing your deliberations. I look forward to learning from the proceedings. Thank you once again for attending. Thank you very much for your overwhelming response to the Chief Minister's invitation. And I welcome you once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for contextualizing the importance of this special industry session and also welcoming our speakers and delegates. I now invite Mr. Ratan Tata, Chairperson of Tata Trust, to deliver the special address.
Kerala is a beautiful part of India. It has tropical fauna, a highly literate population, lovely backwaters, and beautiful beaches. The industrial development of the state may not have been as aggressive as it has been elsewhere, possibly driven by the desire to keep Kerala beautiful. It is therefore very timely that the issue of thoughtful industrialization in the state be discussed, so that a sensible industrial development policy, both in the new industrial areas like information technology and the more traditional areas like tourism, be added to the activities in the state without spoiling its beauty. I regret that I would not be able to be in the conference, but wish the conference every success.
Thank you, sir, for your time and your kind words. I now invite Mr. Azim Premji, Founder Chairperson, Wipro Limited, to deliver the special address.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me to this occasion. I wish I could have been there in person, but since I cannot, I'm sharing few brief thoughts with all of you. Over the past 10 months, our foundation has worked on the ground in over 400 districts to help tackle the pandemic. During this period, the one state that we have always learned from is the state of Kerala. I do not think that the numbers tell the full story. The kind of deep community-based campaign for handling the pandemic that you have run can be a model for all the states across the country. But this is only one of the illustrations of how public systems in Kerala function effectively. Whether it be education or health or local governance, clearly we have a lot to learn from your state. I think this comes from the state's sustained commitment to human capacity development and empowerment of the local government institutions. It is also clear that on many aspects of economic development, Kerala has had an excellent performance. I think that with this kind of a base, which is almost like a developed country in many ways, Kerala's economic growth can skyrocket. I'm glad that you've taken the initiative to organize these discussions, and I wish them to be very, very productive. Thank you once again for inviting me. I wish the state of Kerala and its people the very best.
We are delighted to hear your words of appreciation, sir. Thank you. I now invite Mr. Anand Mahindra, Chairman Mahindra Group, to give his special address.
A very good day to all of you, and thank you, Mr. Chief Minister, for inviting me here today. My first introduction to Kerala came not from traveling there or working there, but from the boarding school in Tamil Nadu that I attended as a child. Now, many of my classmates in that school were from Kerala. So naturally, on the festival of Onam, school would serve payasam, and it was perhaps one of the only dishes that the school kitchen made which tasted really good. So as a result, the arrival of Onam and of the delicious payasam was something all of us hungry students looked forward to. So from my childhood, my perception and image of Kerala has always been that it is a place like a delicious cuisine, a land which is beautiful and stimulates the senses. And I don't think that perception is wrong. But obviously, that's not the only reason I'm happy and honored to be speaking to you all today. Throughout my career with the Mahindra Group, my connections with Kerala have grown dramatically and naturally are now much greater and much more varied. And speaking of the Mahindra Group, it is really interesting how well our businesses fit in with Kerala's vision for the road ahead. We seem to be operating in most of the areas where Kerala sees its present and its future. Firstly, there's tourism, which is obviously a major attraction in what is known as God's own country. Well, Kerala was the birthplace of our holiday business. Club Mahindra has grown into one of the largest vacation ownership businesses in the world. But it started with just one resort, here in Munnar. And today, we are probably amongst the largest investors in tourism in the state. Second area of synergy is electrical mobility. Kerala has been at the forefront of bringing first mile and last mile electric mobility to all its citizens. In fact, the state EV policy has been implemented at a speed that we are not used to seeing at government levels, to be frank. As one of the leading players in the electric three-wheeler market in the state, we are delighted to be partners to the cause of environment-friendly mobility. Thirdly, there's agriculture. It's so unusual and refreshing in these days of unthinking urbanization to note that preservation of farmlands and the modernization of agriculture are amongst your policy goals. And I'm proud to say that the Mahindra Group is playing a big role here. Our businesses provide eco-friendly crop care solutions, soil-friendly nutrients, and biopesticides, particularly for cardamom plantations. We're also running community initiatives in irrigation that are going to benefit more than 2,800 farmers. And of course, we always have our eye on the plentiful human talent in the state. Tech Mahindra, our technology company, has a development center in Kochi through its acquisition of Cerium Systems. So apart from our presence in our traditional businesses like automobiles and tractors, we have invested significantly in Kerala in the businesses of the future. And if I were to look ahead, as the theme of this conference suggests, then I would say that the green businesses of the future is where Kerala's future lies. Why? Well, let me share my perspective as a businessman. There is a tectonic shift taking place in the way business engages with broader society. In a developing country like ours, there's always an ongoing tension between sustainability on the one hand and development on the other. And very often the needs of development have won over the needs of sustainability, which is why businesses until recently considered their main dharma to be the maximization of profits. But this balance is changing rapidly. Firstly, there's an increasing global awareness about the need for businesses to grow sustainably, particularly in view of the evidence of the devastating effects of climate change. Bodies like the UN Global Compact are encouraging businesses to commit to social development goals and to use these as a springboard to profits. Secondly, businesses can no longer afford to prioritize profits over planet, and for a very good reason. Their consumers are demanding change. The next two generations, the millennials and Gen Z, all over the world, have a much higher awareness of sustainability issues because it is their future that is at stake. And they're willing to put their money where their mouth is and to use their consumer power to support only those businesses that conform to their expectations. And they will boycott the ones that do not. Additionally, the power of the community to influence business, what is called community capitalism, it's emerging as a significant factor in influencing business directions. I read somewhere that in Kerala, some panchayats succeeded in preventing the establishment of polluting industries in their areas. And this is happening everywhere today. The upshot is that far-seeing businesses understand that it is in their self-interest to align their business goals with sustainability goals and to the preservation of the planet. And this is not as paradoxical as it seems. I have often said, and I truly believe, that the drive towards sustainability offers the biggest business opportunity of the century. And this is the opportunity that Kerala should seek to offer: a haven and a hub for the green businesses of the future. Kerala can be an ideal proving ground for this new model of business for many reasons. It has consciously followed a policy of prioritizing human development over industrial development alone. As a result, it has excellent human capital, which today has been substantially supplemented by the skills of returning expatriates who've lost their jobs abroad to COVID. It's also a state that is sensitive in ecological issues, having experienced at first hand the ravages of climate change, especially after the devastating floods of 2018. It sees the potential of sustainability-friendly money spinners like ecotourism. Its sparkling waters, lush forests, and beautiful beaches are evidence that it has refrained from sacrificing its natural beauty to greed and overdevelopment. It is committed to clean transport and clean energy. I understand that Kochi Airport runs entirely on solar power. The state has a proactive government, investor-friendly policies, and a very clear vision of the future. So I would say to Kerala, wake up and smell your own coffee. You can be not just India's hub, but a global hub for green business. Think big, think ambitious, think green. Kerala has a charming tradition for Vishu, or the New Year festival. The night before, a metal container called Uruli is carefully arranged with auspicious items like flowers, grains, fruits, coins, and books, and often a mirror. On New Year morning, the family closes its eyes and opens them only when they reach the Uruli, in the belief that the first things one should see at the dawn of the new year are symbols of luck and prosperity. The mirror reflects all these items so that they will be multiplied throughout the year. I believe that Kerala's Uruli is filled with a multiplicity of bountiful blessings that can make it a profitable haven of sustainable business. And I also believe that the mirror of the post-COVID world will multiply these blessings in abundance. I want to wish you all a very fruitful discussion.
Thank you, sir, for your wishes and also for sharing your vision for Kerala. I now invite Ms. Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, Executive Chairperson, Biocon Limited, to deliver her special address.
Namaskar. I'm Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, and it is indeed a great pleasure for me to speak at this conference called Kerala Looks Ahead, organized by the Government of Kerala. Let me start by saying that education and healthcare are the two pillars that support a sustainable economy. Kerala is India's leading literate state and one that has the most efficient healthcare system in the country. In terms of access and affordability, it is in a unique position to drive strong and sustainable economic development. In fact, the pandemic showcased Kerala's ability to contain and manage the pandemic despite the surges of the infections that were observed in the second wave. Kerala also has a thriving startup economy led by software technology. Kerala is also a favorite ecotourism destination in the country. Tourists from all across the world seek its backwaters and its forests. And then let's talk about Ayurveda. Ayurveda is also driving a huge health and wellness economy for Kerala with its world-famous Kerala treatment centers. With all these opportunities, I'm confident that Kerala can look ahead with strong resolve and clear confidence. I will conclude by saying that I would like to see greater investment in the life sciences, especially in the areas of research and innovation. For example, CCRC in Ernakulam and RCC in Trivandrum are two great emerging cancer centers, and they have a great potential in leading the world and leading the way in cancer research and, of course, using the skills in technology. I think MedTech can also be a very, very important opportunity for Kerala. And together with cancer research and MedTech, I'm sure Kerala can take a premier position in the country. I wish this international conference all success. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for elucidating on the special opportunities for Kerala. It's my pleasure to now invite Mr. Chris Gopalakrishnan, Chairman of Axelor Ventures, to deliver this special address.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for inviting me to share my thoughts on this occasion of the Kerala Looks Ahead conference. We need to ride on the waves that are behind us and pushing us forward. So first, let me look at the waves that we can leverage in order to take full advantage of the capabilities that we will create. The first wave is the emergence of digital computing and technologies around computing. Over the last 60, 70 years, the digital computer has gone from a mainframe system to a mobile phone, which empowers every single individual. So computing is now personal, it's affordable, and it's available to each and every one of us. Second, the trend continues now to have computing in everything that we can think of. Pervasive computing or invisible computing, which means that we can embed computing in all objects, all things that we want to control, manage, etc. I'm talking about Internet of Things. Second, from a technology perspective, is access to data, access to information, access to services over the Internet, and emerging technologies like 5G. So my first point here is Kerala should become testbed for 5G implementation, one of the first states in the country where 5G will completely get rolled out. Now, continuing on the technology roadmap, the third is cloud computing. Clearly, this makes infinite storage and infinite processing accessible to all the user devices. So, again, democratizing computing for all people. The fourth is availability of AI and ML, artificial intelligence, machine learning. This allows new capabilities to be created and automating tasks which typically were done manually. And these are tasks which require intelligent decision making and using all the data that is available. I can go on, 3D, augmented reality, virtual reality, um, genomics, in the whole area of biotech, and all these are captured when we say that we are at the beginning of the fourth industrial revolution. Now, what is common about fourth industrial revolution? What is common is that it has democratized technology, it has democratized access, it has disintermediated all the middlemen in the system, it has connected the providers of products and services to the users of products and services, and it has disrupted various industries and will continue to disrupt various industries. So first, opportunity here is for us to actually think about world-class products and services. In every field, we will not be able to become the best, but we need to identify few areas where we can become the best, taking advantage of the strengths of Kerala. And I'll give you some examples here. It changes the business models, it creates new business opportunities, and it empowers the individual and small and medium enterprises. And these are all actually strengths of Kerala, with the high literacy that you have, a state where the large industries are typically missing. It's the small and medium enterprises that are thriving. So let's look at education itself. Now, the traditional model of education is actually a model where you have a campus, you have a university, you have a school where students come, teachers come, and education happens. Now, the new model of education is actually where you have a virtual university, virtual school. Students can participate from anywhere in the world, provided you are world class, provided you make that available, you provide the education in the language in which they would like to learn, etc. So can you now think about new forms of schools and universities, which then allows you to reach the entire world? Second, now we have one of the best ecological and environment friendly and green state. It's an attraction for tourists around the world. Now, can we actually create a platform where every single room that's available in every single hotel, resort, etc., are listed, such that we can maximize the utilization of these facilities? Now, of course, the larger resorts and hotels have their own mechanism to do that. It's the smaller ones that will require support in this case. I'm really talking about the model that Airbnb has popularized and things like that. Now, can we create such a platform where we can maximize the utilization of every single room that's available? Similarly, in agriculture, the trend really is about value addition. The trend is about creating crops that are unique to a particular micro region, microclimate, not losing its distinct identity. People talk about traceability and things like that. People talk about organic or biodynamic agriculture. Now, the value will be lost if you blend it, if you combine it with other products. So every product that's sold from Kerala must have a label which talks about which farmer, which plantation, which piece of land, and which date this crop was harvested. Now the value increases. Now you can further increase the value addition by actually looking at food products. Now the traditional model of creating a food product industry is again through a factory. Now the new model is actually people can sit at home and make smaller batches of these food products. Now combined with technology, this can be marketed with a single brand possibly, or we can create SME, small and medium enterprises, which will look at marketing these things. Again, a new model enabled through technology where every single household in Kerala can participate in this, because they all can create some products or services. Now, healthcare again, right? Kerala has probably some of the best hospitals and things like that. Again, we can make sure that they come on a common platform. In COVID times, we have actually tried this to list all the beds that are available across the state. Can now this be sustained so that there is a new model where nobody has to actually find out where to get admitted? Automatically, based on your condition, you get directed to a particular hospital where a bed is available at the cost at which you are able to afford that service. So matching the consumer with the provider of the service and automate the complete process of the payment happening automatically, and even tying in with philanthropic organizations such that the payment again gets completed and things like that. Again, leveraging technology to enable this to happen. Now I can go on and on, but the common theme here is every business will change, every business will be reimagined, every business will actually now comprise of hundreds of thousands of small and medium enterprises or individual businesses. Remember, in this budget, the government has now come up with this concept of one-person company. So the government is also realizing this. The employment exchange can also be reimagined. Now, employment exchange actually lists people who are seeking jobs. Now you flip it around and say that employment exchange will actually give you gig workers. So companies around the world actually can go to the employment exchange and get people that they need. And then today they can work from home, they can produce from home. Each home becomes a services organization, or each home becomes actually a small factory, right? And products that are relevant to the people. So this requires us to reimagine how we interconnect all these businesses, create new marketplaces, create new platforms and things like that. Now, why am I optimistic about this? We just look at the fintech revolution that has happened in India. One swoop, we actually completely changed how people transact. Today, you can actually use your mobile phone as your payment instrument. You can actually link your mobile phone to the bank account, and it's completely disintermediating all the intermediaries. You have real-time transaction happening. You have zero latency and almost zero cost actually. So we have done this. So this can be done, I believe, and this has been demonstrated by models like Uber, which aggregated taxi services. This has been demonstrated by Airbnb or Oyo Rooms, which they have aggregated rooms and things like that. So we can now think about aggregating individual businesses, small businesses, etc. Now, what is it that we need to do as government? One, there will be regulatory challenges. The government must change the regulations, create sandboxes such that these can be piloted, tested, and implemented. Second, as a society, we must empower every individual by education and skilling. And education and skilling to world-class levels, not just Indian anymore. We need to think about world-class actually. And skilling will require how do you prepare a world-class food product at home? are our pickles meeting the requirements for export purposes, right? Can it be exported to the developed markets and things like that? Can our ready-made dresses be created such that it meets the design aspirations of a Parisian woman, right? And that kind of empowerment and education and skilling must happen across the state for whoever is required, and the funding required in order to do these things. Last but not the least, I believe this provides Kerala to come out with what I believe to be the 21st century model for business, industry, government, etc., society. See, the 20th century model of consumption-led capitalism is failing all of us. It has created pollution. It has created climate catastrophe. It's not created a sustainable world. It has increased disparity. It has not included everyone. The wealth aggregation is skewed and things like that. The 21st century model is what I believe to be is from a technology perspective, digital. It is inclusive, so all individuals, small and medium enterprises can participate. It is equitable in terms of if you have capability, you can earn, you can lead a good life, you can be a middle class Indian. Now that is the world that we need to create. Kerala has demonstrated this in several sectors, in, for example, healthcare, education, etc. But we need to demonstrate this now in the area of wealth creation, wealth accumulation, and wealth distribution, and things like that. And I believe it can be done if we empower the individual and the small and medium enterprises, leveraging technology to actually sell to the entire world and create the capability and the capacity and the skills that are required in order to do that, the technology platforms to do that, the regulatory environment to do that. A simple thing like if you sell to US, what are the regulations that you need to comply with? Now, there has to be a mechanism that the state provides some of these knowledge, services, and capability building. I think that is what I would like us to do when we think about Look Ahead Kerala. And this will completely transform Kerala and will be a brand Kerala that's not known just for Ayurveda or tourism, but it's world-class products, services, and people. Thank you all very much for having me.
Thank you, sir, for prompting this conference with some very specific questions and data inputs. I now invite Mr. M.A. Yusuf Ali, Chairman and Managing Director of Lulu Group International, to deliver the special address.
Honorable Chief Minister, Honorable Industries Minister, Professor V.K. Ramachandran, Vice Chairperson, Kerala State Planning Board, Dr. Jayan Jose Thomas, Member, Kerala State Planning Board, captains of various industries. I am very happy to see Dr. Joy here, other distinguished invitees, participants, and dear friends. At the very outset, let me take this opportunity to thank the government of Kerala for organizing this international conference, Kerala Looks Ahead. I'm very happy that this is being conducted to discuss the future prospects for Kerala in different areas and to showcase state initiatives. I'm sure this event will help to showcase Kerala as an ideal investment destination. I sincerely thank Honorable Chief Minister for inviting me this conference and this session. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, we are one of the largest investors in the state of Kerala. At present, our investment in the state stands 15,000 crore. We also have plans to invest another 8,000 in Kerala, 8,000 crore. If I speak about the opportunities in Kerala, I should also able to show the investments I have made to potential investors, especially senior business tycoons like our Ratan Tata ji, Kumaramangalam Birla, respected Azim Premji, Anand Mahendra, Madam Kiran Mazumdar, and my friend Chris Gopalakrishnan, and other business tycoons. We have constructed one of the India's biggest shopping mall and also one of the India's largest convention center, which can accommodate 10,000 delegates at a time in Kerala. We have also made a lot of investment in other sectors, including information technology and logistics. When we are discussing about the possibilities and opportunities in Kerala, I would like to say that today, Kerala, the most socially advanced state in India, is on a very strong foundation. Be it industrial infrastructure, law and order, connectivity, landscape, human resources, or healthcare. See, today the state is not only known for its natural beauty, God's own country. It is also getting noted for its range of top-class infrastructure, some of our which we are unparalleled. Not many states can match the facilities Kerala offers for industries that operate in the knowledge sector. The state has some unique advantages and facilities when compared with other states. See, the government under the dynamic leadership of our Honorable Chief Minister is giving top priority to development of infrastructure, including roads, bridges, high-speed train, urban infrastructure, industrial parks and corridors. Most of the projects are developed in public-private partnership model, providing huge investment opportunities to investors. Kerala has a history with its first PPP, private-public partnership project, the Cochin International Airport, which was also the first greenfield airport in India, built with public-private participation since 25 years. It was constructed when people were not even discussing about PPP, private-public partnership projects. Honorable Chief Minister is the chairman, and I am very much honored to be a director board member of this airport, invested director board member. For past 25 years, I have also invested in this project. So this is an example. To encourage the new investors, the government of Kerala has to introduce the single window clearance system. The state has consistently moved up in ease of doing business rankings, ease of business doing rankings. See, to simplify the clearance procedures, remove unnecessary regulations, and to ensure time-bound approval. If an investor comes, we will give you approval in this period. The government has amended several acts and rules on time to time. The presence of Honorable Chief Minister in this session clearly shows the government's commitment for development of industry and to attract more investments. My friends, Kerala has great possibilities and opportunities in information technology, like my friend Chris mentioned, healthcare, hospitality, food processing, medical equipment, electronics, and a range of other knowledge industries. My friends, big business people like Dr. Ravi Pillai here, and my friend Dr. Azad Mupi here in the health sector, and Mr. Ravi Pillai in the hospitality and other projects. I'm very happy to see them here also. The state's highly educated and skilled youths are its greatest strength. our dedicated boys and girls. That is our greatest strength. There has also been steady increase in the state of Kerala's manufacturing sector, especially the manufacture of IT and electronic components. To encourage the investment, the government, I think government of Kerala is relaxing 50-acre ceiling on horse land. Because if industrialists come within 15 acres, maybe he could not start a big industry. So government is looking to change the 15-acre ceiling holding land. As per the norms of the government of India, there are also opportunities in the agriculture sector. Every year, we are also exporting fruits, vegetables, snacks worth of almost all 400 crore last year from Kerala. And a lot of opportunities for export. So I recommend an export promotion council should be there to oversee Kerala's export to other countries. As an investor, I can say without a doubt that Kerala's future industrial prospects are very bright under the dynamic leadership of our Chief Minister. We should try to capitalize the opportunities Kerala offers to investors all over the world. I encourage everyone, including my friends, to come strategic partners in this prosperity. I once again thank for inviting me to this session. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir, for being a continued pillar of support for your homeland. I now invite Dr. B. Ravi Pillai, Managing Director, RP Group, to deliver the special address.
Morning, everyone. ബഹുമാനപ്പെട്ട മുഖ്യമന്ത്രി ശ്രീ പിണറായി വിജയൻ, മറ്റു പ്രമുഖ വ്യക്തികളെ, എൻ്റെ മൈ എൻആർഐ ഫ്രണ്ട്സ് യൂസുഫ് അലി, ആസാദ് മൂപ്പൻ, കേരള ലുക്സ് എന്ന പ്രോഗ്രാമിൻ്റെ ഭാഗമായി സ്പെഷ്യൽ സെഷൻ ഓൺ ഇൻഡസ്ട്രി സംഘടിപ്പിച്ചതിന് വ്യവസായ വകുപ്പിനോടും കേരള സ്റ്റേറ്റ് പ്ലാനിംഗ് ബോർഡിനോടും എൻ്റെ നന്ദി അറിയിക്കട്ടെ. വേൾഡ് ഹിസ്റ്ററിയിലെ ഏറ്റവും വലിയ പ്രതിസന്ധിയിലാണ് നമ്മൾ നടന്നു പോകുന്നത്. ഇതിനെ നേരിടാനും സാധാരണ ജനങ്ങളുടെ ക്ഷേമം ഉറപ്പുവരുത്തുന്നതിനുമായി ബഹുമാനപ്പെട്ട മുഖ്യമന്ത്രി നടത്തുന്ന മാതൃകാമായ ശ്രമങ്ങൾക്ക് നന്ദി അറിയിക്കട്ടെ. കോവിഡ് നേരിടുന്നതിനിടയിലും ഫ്യൂച്ചർ ഗ്രോത്തിന് വേണ്ടി ഒരു റോഡ് മാപ്പ് ഫോർ ഇൻവെസ്റ്റ്മെന്റ് ഉണ്ടാക്കുന്നത് ഏറ്റവും നല്ല കാര്യമാണ്. എൻ്റെ അഭിപ്രായത്തിൽ കോവിഡ് ഒരു അവസരമായി നമ്മൾ കാണണം. കോവിഡ് കാലത്ത് ലോകത്ത് ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ ഇൻവെസ്റ്റ്മെന്റ് ലഭിച്ച ഏക രാജ്യം ഇന്ത്യയാണ്. ഇപ്പോൾ പല വിദേശ കമ്പനികളും അവിടെ ഓപ്പറേഷൻ ഇന്ത്യയിലേക്ക് ഷിഫ്റ്റ് ചെയ്തു. As per the new policy in the recent budget, many foreign companies shall start their operation in India. ഫൈനാൻഷ്യൽ കോസ്റ്റ് വളരെ കുറവാണ്. ഇപ്പോൾ ബിസിനസ് തുടങ്ങാൻ ഏറ്റവും പറ്റിയ സമയമാണ്. കഴിഞ്ഞ 20 വർഷത്തിനുള്ളിൽ ഏറ്റവും കുറഞ്ഞ പലിശ നിരക്കാണ് ഇപ്പോൾ ഉള്ളത്. ഇത് 2008 എക്കണോമിക്സ് ഡിപ്രഷൻ പീരീഡിനെക്കാട്ടിൽ വളരെ കുറവാണ്. ഞാൻ ചൈനയിൽ പലതവണ വിസിറ്റ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. പല കമ്പനിയായിട്ട് ബന്ധമുണ്ട്. അവിടെ ഒരു ബിസിനസ് നമ്മൾ അപ്ലൈ ചെയ്താൽ വിത്തിൻ സർട്ടൻ ടൈം വി ഗെറ്റ് ഫുൾ പെർമിഷൻ. നമ്മുടെ കേരളത്തിലും നമ്മൾ അപ്ലൈ ചെയ്താൽ വിത്തിൻ 1 മന്ത് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ 2 മന്ത്സ് ഫുൾ പെർമിഷൻ കിട്ടിയാൽ വളരെ സന്തോഷമായിരിക്കും. അതിനുവേണ്ടി ശ്രമിക്കണം. ഡ്യൂ ടു ലോങ് കോസ്റ്റ് ലൈൻ ആൻഡ് ഡെൻസിറ്റി ഓഫ് ഫോറസ്റ്റ്, നമ്മുടെ സംസ്ഥാനം പരിസ്ഥിതി ലോല മേഖലയാണ്. ഈ ലിമിറ്റേഷൻ നോക്കി വേണം നമ്മൾ ഇൻഡസ്ട്രിയൽ ഡെവലപ്മെന്റ് പ്ലാൻ ചെയ്യാൻ. കേരളത്തിലെ അവൈലബിളായ യങ് ആൻഡ് എഡ്യൂക്കേറ്റഡ് മാൻ പവർ, ലോങ് കോസ്റ്റ് ലൈൻ ആൻഡ് ഹ്യൂജ് അർബൻ മാർക്കറ്റ് എന്നിവ യൂട്ടിലൈസ് ചെയ്യാൻ നമുക്ക് കഴിയണം. പ്രധാനമായി 4 മേഖലകളാണ് നമുക്ക് പരിഗണിക്കാവുന്നത്. ഒന്ന് നോളജ് ബേസ്ഡ് ബിസിനസ്, ഹെൽത്ത് കെയർ, ടൂറിസം ആൻഡ് റബ്ബർ ബേസ്ഡ് ഇൻഡസ്ട്രി. ഇതൊരു പുതിയ IT ഏജിലാണ് നമ്മൾ ജീവിക്കുന്നത്. കഴിഞ്ഞ 200 വർഷത്തിന് ഉണ്ടായതിൽ കൂടുതൽ IT അഡ്വാൻറ്റേജ് കഴിഞ്ഞ 10 വർഷത്തിനുള്ളിൽ ഉണ്ടായിട്ടുണ്ട്. ടെക്നോളജിയിലുണ്ടായ ഈ റെവല്യൂഷൻ ഇന്ത്യക്കും കേരളത്തിനും വലിയ അവസരങ്ങളാണ് നൽകുന്നത്. എന്നാൽ നിലവിലുള്ള മിക്ക IT ഹബുകളും ബാക്ക് ഓഫീസ് ഡേറ്റ പ്രോസസ്സിംഗ് വർക്ക് മാത്രമാണ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. ശരിക്കുള്ള ടെക്നോളജി വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്ന അധികം കമ്പനികൾ കേരളത്തിലില്ല. Kerala can become a hub for artificial intelligence and mobility solutions. The entire world is moving very fast towards clean energy solutions and storage systems. Electric car നിർമ്മാതാക്കള ടെൽസ അവരുടെ ഒരു ബേസ് ഇന്ത്യയിലേക്ക് സെറ്റപ്പ് ചെയ്യുകയാണ്. They are planning to set up a space launch center and a large scale of storage solutions. This will bring many technologies to India. ഇത് കേരളത്തിൽ കൂടുതൽ ടെക്നോളജി റിലേറ്റഡ് കമ്പനി തുടങ്ങുന്നതിന് വലിയ സാധ്യതകളുണ്ട്. 100 എണ്ണപ്പെട്ടതിന് ക്യാപിറ്റൽ കണ്ടെത്തുന്നതിന് ഗവൺമെന്റ് ഒരു ഫണ്ട് രൂപീകരിക്കണം. ദിസ് ക്യാൻ ബി ഡൺ വിത്ത് പ്രൈവറ്റ് കൊളാബറേഷൻസ്. അതുപോലെ ഹെർബൽ മെഡിസിൻ ക്ലസ്റ്റേഴ്സ് തുടങ്ങാൻ കേരളത്തിന് ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ സാധ്യതകൾ ഉണ്ട്. ഹൈ എൻഡ് ഫുഡ് പ്രോസസ്സിംഗ് കൾച്ചേഴ്സ് തുടങ്ങുന്നതിന് കൂടുതൽ ഊന്നൽ നൽകണം. കേരളത്തിൽ നിരവധി അക്വാകൾച്ചർ ഫാംസും പ്രോസസ്സിംഗ് യൂണിറ്റും ഉണ്ട്. നിലവിൽ ഇവയൊക്കെ ഉയർന്നടിച്ച അവസ്ഥയിലാണ്. നമുക്ക് ആവശ്യം പ്ലാന്റ് ആൻഡ് അഗ്രികൾച്ചർ ബേസ്ഡ് പ്രോസസ്സിംഗ് യൂണിറ്റാണ്. ഹെർബൽ മെഡിസിൻ ആക്കി മാറ്റാൻ കഴിയുന്ന ഫോറസ്റ്റ് പ്രൊഡക്റ്റ് എന്തൊക്കെയാണെന്ന് ഗവൺമെന്റ് തീരുമാനിക്കുക. ഹെൽത്ത് ടൂറിസം ഇന്ത്യയിൽ ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ ആയുർദൈർഘ്യമുള്ള സംസ്ഥാനങ്ങളിൽ ഒന്നാണ് നമ്മുടെ കൊച്ചു കേരളം. അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ ഓൾഡ് ഏജ് റിലേറ്റഡ് ഹെൽത്ത് പ്രോബ്ലംസ് കേരളത്തിൽ വളരെ കൂടുതലാണ്. പ്രായമായ ആളുകൾക്ക് നല്ല ഹെൽത്ത് കെയർ നൽകുന്ന മേഖലയിൽ ഇൻവെസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ സാധ്യതകൾ ഉണ്ട്. കേരളത്തിലെ ആയുർവേദവും ട്രഡീഷണൽ ചികിത്സാ രീതിയും ലോക പ്രശസ്തമാണ്. എന്നാൽ അതിനെ ശരിയായി പ്രയോജനപ്പെടുത്താൻ നമുക്കായിട്ടില്ല. കേരളത്തിന് ഗൾഫ് രാജ്യങ്ങളുമായി നല്ല ബന്ധമാണുള്ളത്. ആൾട്ടർനേറ്റീവ് മെഡിസിൻ്റെ മിഡിൽ ഈസ്റ്റിലെ ഒരു ഹബ്ബാക്കാൻ കേരളത്തിന് കഴിയും. ഇതിനെക്കുറിച്ച് ഗവൺമെന്റ് ചിന്തിക്കണം. കേരള ടൂറിസം മേഖലയിൽ ഏറ്റവും നല്ല സാധ്യതകളാണ് ഉള്ളത്. കേരളത്തിലെ ടൂറിസം മെച്ചപ്പെടുത്തുന്നതിന് വേണ്ടി ഗവൺമെന്റ് പരമാവധി ശ്രമിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. The tourism can create more jobs and give more tax revenue to the government. 1959, Government of India ബീച്ച് റിസോർട്ട് തുടങ്ങുന്നതിന് ദ ബെസ്റ്റ് ലൊക്കേഷൻ പഠിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി ഫേമസ് ഫ്രഞ്ച് കമ്പനിയായ ക്ലബ് മഹേന്ദ്രയെ ഏർപ്പെടുത്തി. അവർ ഇന്ത്യയിലെ എല്ലാ സംസ്ഥാനങ്ങളും നടത്തിയ ഒരു പഠനത്തിന് ശേഷം കേരളത്തിലെ കോളത്തെയാണ് ഏറ്റവും നല്ല സ്ഥലമായി തിരഞ്ഞെടുത്തത്. 1981 ന്യൂയോർക്ക് ടൈംസ് കോവളം ബീച്ചിനെ ലോകത്തെ ഏറ്റവും മികച്ച 7 ബീച്ചുകളിൽ പട്ടികയിൽ ഉൾപ്പെടുത്തി. 2001 ന്യൂയോർക്ക് ടൈംസ് കോവളം ബീച്ചിനെ ദ ജുവൽസ് ഓഫ് ഇന്ത്യ എന്നാണ് വിളിച്ചിരുന്നത്. ഒരിക്കൽ ഹവാ ബീച്ച് ലോകപ്രസിദ്ധമായിരുന്നു. പക്ഷെ ഇന്ന് സ്ഥിതി വളരെ മോശമാണ്. ഇപ്പോൾ വളരെ ലിമിറ്റഡായി മാത്രമേ ടൂറിസ്റ്റുകൾ ഇവിടെ വരുന്നുള്ളൂ. കേരളം പോലെ ഇത്ര മനോഹരമായ ബീച്ചുകളും നദികളും ബാക്ക് വാട്ടേഴ്സും ഉള്ള മറ്റൊരു സ്ഥലം ഇന്ത്യയിലില്ല. ഇതുകൊണ്ടാണ് നമ്മളെ കേരളത്തെ ഗോഡ്സ് ഓൺ കൺട്രി എന്ന് വിളിക്കുന്നത്. പക്ഷേ നമ്മുടെ സാധ്യതകളെ വേണ്ടത്ര പ്രയോജനപ്പെടുത്താൻ നമുക്ക് ആയിട്ടില്ല. ഇത് പരിഹരിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി കേരള ഗവൺമെന്റ് ഇന്റർനാഷണൽ ലെവൽ മാർക്കറ്റിംഗ് ക്യാമ്പയിൻ നടത്തണം. ഇപ്പോൾ നമ്മുടെ സമീപ രാജ്യങ്ങളിൽ നിന്നും ടൂറിസത്തിന് കടുത്ത കോമ്പറ്റീഷനാണ് ഉള്ളത്. അടുത്തിടെയായി നിരവധി ഇന്ത്യൻ ടൂറിസ്റ്റുകൾ ശ്രീലങ്ക, മാലിദ്വീപ്, തായ്ലൻഡ്, മലേഷ്യ എന്നീ രാജ്യങ്ങൾക്കാണ് യാത്ര ചെയ്യുന്നത്. ഇത് കേരളത്തിലെ ടൂറിസ്റ്റ് വ്യവസായത്തെ പ്രതികൂലമായി ബാധിക്കും. ഇന്ത്യയിൽ നിന്നും സിംഗപ്പൂർ, ബാങ്കോക്ക്, മലേഷ്യ എന്നീ രാജ്യങ്ങളിലേക്കുള്ള ഫ്ലൈറ്റ് ചാർജസ് വളരെ കുറവാണ്. എന്നാൽ നമ്മുടെ അയൽ സംസ്ഥാനങ്ങളിൽ നിന്ന് കേരളത്തിലേക്കുള്ള വിമാന യാത്രാ തിരക്ക് വളരെ കൂടുതലാണ്. കൂടുതൽ എയർപോർട്ട് കണക്ടിവിറ്റിയും ഫ്ലൈറ്റ് ഫ്രീക്വൻസിയും അനുവദിച്ചാൽ പ്രൈസ് കോമ്പറ്റീഷൻ ഉണ്ടാകുകയും ഓട്ടോമാറ്റിക്കായി ഫ്ലൈറ്റ് ചാർജസ് കുറയുകയും ചെയ്യും. വിദേശ രാജ്യങ്ങളിൽ നിന്നും മറ്റ് സംസ്ഥാനങ്ങളിൽ നിന്നും കൂടുതൽ ടൂറിസ്റ്റിനെ അട്രാക്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നതിന് വേണ്ടി മെച്ചപ്പെട്ട സർവീസും ഒരു സ്പെഷ്യൽ എൻ്റർടൈൻമെൻറ്റ് സോൺ അനുവദിക്കാനുള്ള നയപരമായ തീരുമാനം ഗവൺമെൻറ് എടുക്കണം. റബ്ബർ ഇന്ത്യയിൽ മൊത്തം റബ്ബറിൻ്റെ 80% അധികം ഉൽപ്പാദിക്കുന്നത് കേരളത്തിലാണ്. പക്ഷേ റബ്ബർ ബേസ്ഡ് ഇൻഡസ്ട്രീസ് കേരളത്തിൽ വളരെ കുറവാണ്. We need to have more rubber-based industries in Kerala. ജപ്പാൻ, കൊറിയ എന്നീ രാജ്യങ്ങളുമായി സഹകരിച്ച് ഒരു നല്ല ടയർ നിർമ്മാണം രംഗത്ത് ഇറങ്ങിയാൽ ഏറ്റവും വലിയ ഇൻവെസ്റ്റ്മെന്റ് ആയിരിക്കും. കൂടാതെ ചില സജഷൻസ് ഉള്ളത് MSME സെക്ടറിന് ഫ്യൂച്ചർ ഗ്രോത്തിന് പ്രൊഡക്ടിവിറ്റി എൻഹാൻസിന് വേണ്ടി കൂടുതൽ ഫണ്ടും അസൈൻമെന്റും നൽകണം. കേരളത്തിൽ നിന്നുള്ള കയറ്റുമതി സാധ്യതയെ വർദ്ധിപ്പിക്കുന്നതിന് പോർട്ട് ബേസ്ഡ് ലോജിസ്റ്റിക്സിന്റെ ഡെവലപ്മെന്റിന് ആവശ്യമായ നടപടികൾ എടുക്കണം. നമ്മുടെ ട്രഡീഷണൽ ഇൻഡസ്ട്രിയായ ടെക്നോളജിയിലാണ് ഇപ്പോഴും ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്നത്. ഈ മേഖലയിൽ ടെക്നോളജി അപ്ഗ്രേഡ് ചെയ്താൽ പ്രൊഡക്ഷനും എഫിഷ്യൻസിയും വർദ്ധിപ്പിക്കാൻ കഴിയും. Once again, I thank our Honorable Chief Minister, Sri Pinarayi Vijayan, and the Planning Board and the Industrial Department for giving this opportunity, and wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for those really valuable inputs. I now invite Dr. Azad Moopen, Chairman and Managing Director, Aster DM Healthcare, to deliver his special address.
Honorable Chief Minister Sri Pinarayi Vijayan, Industries Minister Sri E.P. Jayarajan, Vice Chairman of Planning Commission Professor V.K. Ramachandran, stalwarts of Indian industry, Sri M.A. Yusuf Ali, Sri Chris Gopalakrishnan, Dr. Ravi Pillai, other panelists, and dear friends. First of all, let me congratulate the Honorable Chief Minister Sri Pinarayi Vijayan, his cabinet colleagues, state planning board, and state's top officials in organizing this epoch-making initiative. It is my proud privilege to participate in this special session on industry of Kerala Looks Ahead conference. Thank you very much, Honorable CM, for giving me the opportunity to speak to this distinguished audience. The participation of business leaders of the country who represent the who is who of the Indian industry shows that Kerala is on focus now as a destination for investment. We have heard the appreciation and vote of confidence from stalwarts like Ratan Tata, Azim Premji, Anand Mahindra, and Kiran Majumdar-Shaw. Kerala is at the top in education, healthcare, governance, social justice, etc. We have the highest literacy in the country, highest PQL index, and highest in physical affairs index. Kerala is one among the top 3 large states in the country, even in per capita income, and have very high purchasing capacity. There are opportunities galore in various sectors in the state. These have been discussed in the designated sessions of this conference, and also in this meeting. My friends have discussed about it. I am hopeful that the top business houses in the country and the other participants in the conference shall take up this, leveraging the availability of human and physical resources of this welfare state. I want to point out a couple of opportunities in the state, and one of that is the 42 freshwater rivers which carries trillions of liters of water to the sea. Most of these rivers are perennial too. There is the potential for treating this water and bottling it at different points across the state. This could be major business and employment opportunity. This will also be a source of income for the government through royalty. More importantly, by doing this, we are fulfilling the duty of supplying water to the world. We know water is likely to be more precious than oil in the future. Looking at the speed at which global warming is taking place and the global water plate is getting depleted, I look forward to see Kerala water from God's own country in all corners of the world through this initiative. I also like to recommend that we start a NRK Smart City. This can be a well-contained, master-planned city where we can have residential businesses like non-polluting industries, IT, and other areas, recreational clusters, educational clusters. The requirement for education for the children is a big part of the pain of all the NRKs, because many of them live in that country and have to send back their children to our country for education. An NRK university in that cluster to cater to that, this requirement will be a great service towards the NRKs. The investment for this can completely come from the NRKs, who will be very happy to invest into this by way of their commitment to the state, the return on that, as well as it is something where they are directly participating. The government need only acquire the land and to be the sponsor for the project. And I'm sure that if this is being done somewhere in Kerala, preferably in the middle Kerala, so that all the NRIs can have access to it, I'm sure that it is going to be something which will stand forever as a testimony of the government's commitment to the NRKs and in the development of the state. There are significant opportunities in various sectors like infrastructure, IT, tourism, agro industries, etc. in the state. I'm not going into that. Unfortunately, there was a negative perception about the industrial climate of the state. This is history, and Kerala of today is totally different. We have to convey this message, and it is our duty, me and our friends, that this happens. While the government, bureaucracy, and the political leadership at the top in the state is fully aligned and is highly supportive of setting up business, it is a sad reality that there is a requirement to ease this at the bottom level of the government machinery, where there are still a lot of delays. I'm sure that this will be addressed as we go forward. And the situation is improving very fast. With businesses in 5 states in the country, in India, I can vouch that Kerala is one among the most business-friendly states now. We have invested over 4,000 crores in Kerala starting from 2001 and employ over 6,000 people, and with not a single day of job loss during the last 20 years. We have been supported to the hilt by the various governments, the officials, and the people of the state. Everyone agree that Kerala has the potential to become the most prosperous state through industrial development. A change in mindset of the people of the state and a proactive government were all that was required for this transformation, and it is there now. I'm very happy that this is happening with renewed vigor, and the state is on the threshold for a takeoff. The effective discussions that happened in the last 3 days and the participation of the topmost industry leaders in today's conference underlines the fact that Kerala is getting the focus it deserves. Once again, let me congratulate the Honorable Chief Minister for the visionary step of doing this conference. I foresee the state to catapult to the center stage of the most industrialized and prosperous state in the country very soon. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for your futuristic ideas and recommendations. Now that we have finished listening to a stellar set of Indian business leaders, we are now moving into a very special session being moderated by Dr. Venu V, Member Secretary, Kerala State Planning Board.
Distinguished members attending this special session of the International Conference in Consultation, it is my privilege to moderate the discussion that arises following some extremely thought-provoking and stimulating interventions and comments that we have heard today. First of all, we are honored by the statements of confidence, the strong sentiments expressed by the leaders of Indian industry regarding the future of industry in Kerala. But we are also obliged to them and to all those distinguished speakers, the homegrown industrialists, our own proud Keralites who have spoken, who have given us very important pointers on the areas to concentrate, the aspects to consider, and the matters to be settled. In order to kickstart the discussion, may I now call upon Dr. Ilangovan, the captain of the officials in the industry sector, who was our chair yesterday and who's been listening into this session. Although he has some pressing domestic issues, we are thankful to you, Dr. Ilangovan, for making the time. I would now request you to make your intervention. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Renu. Thanks, Planning Board, the Vice Chairman, and member industry, and everyone involved in this conference. And it's been a fantastic learning experience for me to listen to the industry leaders from India who are so distinguished and done so well. Now, I want to make 3 or 4 quick observations to start the discussion. From whatever the distinguished leaders have spoken today morning about Kerala and the prospects for industry in future, there are 4 broad ideas have arisen. One is about where do we draw the balance between industrialization and sustainability in Kerala. Which means what? Kerala being such an eco-sensitive state with a dense population, with a very scant land available for industrialization of large sizes, yet having highly skilled pool of youths and a huge list of entrepreneurs trying to invest in the state. Where do you draw the line? Where do you balance it out? What is the future strategy for us when it comes to thinking about development and sustainability or industrialization? That is the first point for discussion I wanted to flag. The second point that has come out in the discussion is where do we draw again a balance between providing large number of employment opportunities to the youth versus switching out to automation and other information technology driven services that may not provide as many number of employment as one would like to have. Because there's always a trade-off between automation and embracing technologies that reduces especially skilled and semi-skilled workers. So are we ready to go to a situation where only cognitive functions can be left to the human resources and all non-cognitive functions can be relegated to automation and industry? That is the second point. Third important point, I think it was made by more than one speaker in the morning, is about the triple helix mechanism. Time has come now for industry, academic institution, and the government to sit together and see how the human resources can be harnessed. What exactly it means? According to me, this is about creating a synergy of 3 important stakeholders in terms of making the human resources ready for tomorrow. Is our academia or the universities, are they aligned to the industry requirements? Are our youths employable? To what extent the people are employable as soon as they finish the graduation? It's a huge question mark. Does our curricula represent the need of the industry? I don't know. Do we have flexible learning now? As Mr. Krish Gopalakrishnan very rightly pointed out, there are so many disruptions today taking place. Are we ready to do sort of flexible learning for students to create where you can create people for the next century or even for this century in a different set of thing? So the third important is the triple helix mechanism. How is that government, industry, and academia will join together and create the human resource for the next year? The last point, that is 4 observations I said. The last point which I have said is there is basically overarching importance given by all the speakers to the eco-tourism or the sustainability of the environment, etc., etc. Therefore, what kind of industries, what kind of strategies we should adopt to attract investments? We in the industry department have taken a clear stand that the Kerala cannot invite investors of every kind. We have to have a pollution-free, high-value driven and highly skilled, knowledge-based industries. And we identified 5 important sectors. These are the sectors we go and talk to all investors wherever we go. Number 1, IT and ICT technology driven industries. Number 2, space technology. Number 3 is aviation. Number 4 is defense. Number 5, food processing. To name the few. This is not exhaustive list, it's an indicative list. Therefore, should we now develop an investment strategy around these 6 or 7 core areas, or do we also need to add more sectors and dilute them and do it? These are my initial comments, and I'm very happy to clarify my points as the discussion proceeds, and also about what the department thinks about these issues and what we have plans. Thank you, Dr. Venu. I look forward for discussions.
Thank you, Dr. Elangovan. I think you have summarized the main points raised by the former distinguished speakers. I still go back, my memory goes back to what Mr. Mahindra reminded us, that we need to be aggressive about the new areas and new technologies that could find a home in Kerala. Now, speaking of these matters, I think the best person to respond to such ideas, after Dr. Elangovan, of course, will be my colleague, Sri M.G. Rajamanikam, who is the Managing Director of the Kerala State Industries Development Corporation. Over to you, Rajamanikam.
Good morning and thank you, sir. Respected chair and other dignitaries. It's really indeed a great privilege to talk in the presence of this August forum. As our Principal Secretary Industry summarized about Kerala's possibilities and opportunities, as far as Industrial Development Corporation or Industries Department of Government of Kerala is concerned, we have made a concerted efforts to take the industry sector to a greater height. As a part of this initiative, in fact, the state embarked on the multi-pronged framework and has drawn up a blueprint of an integrated infrastructure development strategy in terms of policy reforms as well as a business re-engineering process in many sectors, actually, under the leadership of Honorable CM Industries Minister and our Industry Secretary. And as far as Kerala is concerned, in fact, Kerala is the very first state to enact a legislation to put in place a single window clearance system for industrial licensing. In fact, Kerala Industrial Single Window Boards and Industrial Township Area Development Act 1999, which has brought single window clearance board at the district and state level, which is one of the pioneer as far as Government of India is concerned. As far as single window boards are concerned, nowadays today every industrial park is having single window board, and lot many industries as part of the single window system, like up to certain amount, say for example 10 crores, district level board will taken care, and above 50 crores is a chief secretary headed board will taken care. Very recently, in fact, Kerala has brought in industrial investment bureau, actually. In fact, the principal secretary is the chairman of that, and managing director KSIDC is the CEO of that. This, ordinance, brought in by the government of Kerala, that is a Kerala Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises Facilitation Amendment Ordinance in 2020, which, ensures that, any business, large business, large investment, which they are trying to come in Kerala, that bureau shall meet in every, week to consider the application, and within the week, will give all necessary approvals under the purview of the state if everything is in order, and as well as this should not fall under red category as per the Pollution Control Board. It means that the Investment Facilitation Bureau will ensure that any investment, larger investment who comes into Kerala, within 7 weeks will clear all those things with the affidavit that all the clearances within 1 year they can take it. Means like up till 1 year, there is no need for any approval for any of the larger industries. They can simply come, and once the bureau is clear, they can start industry as such. And this validity of this approval is for 5 years. So why I mentioned this, because the Kerala has, in fact, taken a lot of initiatives and pioneering, in terms of eliminating redundant regulations, simplification of clearance procedures, reduction in timelines for clearances, established standardized operating procedures, increasing, in fact, validity of period of licenses and permits issued by the various departments. In fact, all this, brought into a single web-based application named KSWIFT, actually Kerala Single Window Interface for Fast and Transparent Clearance. this is a platform in which that any industrialist or anybody who wants to invest in Kerala, they can simply go to our Invest Kerala website, or they can apply online through the KSIFT. All the applications are made online. In fact, it is Honorable CM in the last Ascent 2020, he announced in the platform that including renewals also will be made available in the KSIFT, and very recently he has launched it also. So as far as Kerala is concerned, we are now. Previous speaker also mentioned about it. It's like industrial atmosphere and industrial environment, climate, have changed. Dramatic changes have, taken place. It is like, as such, if you ask me to compare, in fact, the standard of India, Kerala is one of the pioneering state. For various reasons, in the sense like we have a geostrategic, locational advantage in terms of knowledge-based, industries, and a lot of skills are available. We have international seaports, international airports, technical manpower, research institution. Everything is all in one basket. Along with that, the government regulations and government procedures are being now very much simplified, and through web-based platform, all those things are right. So as far as Kerala is concerned, now we have to go a long way, but whatever the start which has been taken place for the past 4 or 5 years and in the previous years also, Kerala is definitely looks ahead to invite a lot of investment in terms of the sector mentioned by the Principal Secretary, and that is not an exhaustive list also. And in fact, all of you, welcome. Look forward to meet you here. And thank you so much, Venu sir and Planning Board Vice Chairman and other members to invite me for this function. Thank you, so much.
Thank you, Mr. Rajamanikam. I think we have to give a lot of credit to the wonderfully dynamic team in the Industries Department led by the Honorable Minister of Industries. Dr. Ilangovan, Mr. Mohammad Hanish, and MG Rajamanikam, assisted by some very enthusiastic young officers, have been working over the last 2 years to create an environment, a climate which is investor friendly, which is enabling, and which actually changed the whole ecosystem of ease of doing business in Kerala. It is a testimony to the hard work that today we have a system, an infrastructure which was elaborated by Mr. Rajamanikam in his intervention earlier. I also hope to hear from Mr. Mohammad Hanish, who is expected to join us any moment. But there is a question which I would like to pose to Dr. Azad Mopin, if he is connected, he is online.
Yes. I'm connected, Dr.
Yeah.
Venu.
Dr. Azad Mopin happens to be my former teacher as well. Sir, it's a pleasure to talk to you, if virtually. You mentioned, and I think yours was the only intervention which talked about investments in the education sector. And you said that the NRIs will be happy to invest. You see, when we talk about the future of Kerala, you would have noticed that over the several documents in the official realm, particularly in the budget, the finance minister had very, very clearly mentioned that we have to move into a knowledge economy, making significant investments into creating centers of excellence. So do you think that this, the city which you are talking about has synergies with this idea of an overarching ambition for the state to emerge as a knowledge economy and to develop specific centers of excellence which will be known globally for its quality? Dr. Azad Mopin.
Dr. Venu, thanks for giving me this opportunity, as well as, of course, recognizing me as your teacher. That was long back. I'm so happy that I have such students in very high positions, and I really feel proud of all those students who are around the world. Yeah. So coming back to this question which has been asked, I definitely think that this is the opportunity. Apart from the infrastructure which is being created, where the NRKs can bring in the investment to create a NRK university, if it can be taken up as a private university by the government of Kerala, the other parties that NRKs from all the countries, the US, the UK, and every place, they are going to bring in a lot of knowledge into it. We have eminent people all over the world who are in the top position in universities like Howard. We know Dr. Geeta Gopinath involved. And this won't be just a college, which will be a professional college or anything. It will be a research-led university, and there will be a lot of innovation happening. And I definitely feel that this is going to be the opportunity for us to start this journey, which has been already started, but to give it fillip to that. So I agree with your observation that this is going to be a golden opportunity to do this along with the NRK University.
I have a quick introduction.
Dr. Ilangovan, please.
This is an excellent review. In fact, I want to inform the august audience here. Under Law Department, we have a plan to create an NRI enclave. Most probably, if it comes in northern district, Kerala. What I wanted Dr. Azad Muppan to basically do is, this project is a very concept.
There is some.
We have been discussing in the Norcom forum.
There is some echo.
Dr. Ilangovan, can you repeat?
Yeah, I will go a little away from the mic. Yeah. Basically, this is the concept that is already there in Norcom department. To create an NRI enclave, one of the districts, mostly in Kannur. They are acquiring land in Kannur in 11 parcels. One parcel of 500 acres is meant to be an NRI enclave. One of the requests from NRIs is that we would like to send that second generation, third generation children to Kerala. They want them to live in Kerala, but also a whole country. That is where Dr. Azad is right, that this will be NRI world-class research center, world-class schools, world-class hospitals and housing facilities, along with the very value-added industries that are being put up. Now we are okay with this, conceptually it's fine. That is, work out some sort of a bankable project, an investment model in a legal framework, what kind of a company it should be. I think Honorable CM is more than happy to discuss this with all Pravasis. He is committed to this and land acquisition is on way. So this is the information I want to give to Mr. Azad Muppan and Dr. and everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ilangovan. The questions are coming in quick and fast. So I would like to first call upon Mr. Mohammad Hanish, Principal Secretary, Industries, for his intervention. But I would request Mr. Chris Gopalakrishnan, Mr. Yusuf Ali, and Dr. Azad Muppan to stand by, because there are some questions from the audience that I have collected here, which I will come to after the intervention of Mr. Mohammad Hanish. Hanish, the floor is yours.
Respected panelists, my peers, friends from the academia, industry, commerce and trade. There is a great deal of churning process that's going on across the world. And that happens not just in terms of the technology that's being used. It's more in the case of the processes that have been initiated over different spheres and different spectrums. Naturally enough, the processes happen to be both intellectual as well as mechanized. These processes, be it the intellectual processes, harnessing of the intellectual capital calls for creation of new schools, universities, technical institutes, and whatever. In terms of the mechanical devices, in terms of the contraptions that have been put forth by way of the introduction of modern technology, we are going for miniaturization, we are going for optimization of the financial resources as well as the technical resources, and also for putting in the right person in the right place at the right time. This becomes extremely important in an economy, in a global economy that's shaping up, and that wherein we are trying to weed out the undesirables and trying to focus upon the essentials. In this regard, what can Kerala do for the country? What can Kerala do for the nation? What can Kerala do for the world? What we can offer is that, first and foremost, we need to go in for a great deal of re-engineering process, restructuring process of not just the human resources, but also about the processes that determine the contours of the industry, the trading activity, or the productive activity, whatever be the sphere that we are indulging in. In this regard, the NRIs, the NRKs who are situated across the world would become extremely critical in terms of the inputs towards whatever we can do. There are three things which are non-negotiable. One is the half opportunity that's present for every person to convert into a full opportunity. Second is the kind of snatch the technology as it comes and try to be the leader in it. It's a non-negotiable process. And thirdly, ultimately, it's about the re-engineering that can be done to a human being, to a person as such, with the kind of intellectual crystallizations, intellectual inputs that can be provided to the person. These three together, beyond the traditional confines of labor, land, and capital, become extremely important in a world wherein a major industry can be planned within your drawing room. That's most important. Therefore, I would suggest that our discussions, the kind of industry that can come in, frontier technology, cutting edge technology, and ultimately technology that has a consumer edge becomes most important. Along with it, the lifestyle, based industries have also to be given an added fillip. We need to harness all these things together. Therefore, what is needed? One needs to be selectively intensive, I would state. Selective in the sense that some of the sectors that are very much in tune with the realities of the state of Kerala can be introduced, some of the sectors. Those sectors which cannot be introduced in this country, in the state, because of the paucity of space, because of the paucity of, depth of finance, that cannot be brought in here. Secondly, along with it, we also need to go in for a great deal of application of the latest form of technology into it. Theme-based parts are definitely a step in the right direction. Apart from that, beyond the incentives, it's a creation of an amicable ecosystem that's most important. An ecosystem that will range straight from the top till the bottom, where a conducive, harmonious environment is created as far as the industry is concerned. These would be my kind of general remarks about the way in which our systems, our industries have to progress. Ever so many NRIs and NRKs are waiting for good things to happen. I know for sure that my good friend Dr. Azad Moopen sitting over there has had quite a few brushes with some deal of problems in Kerala, I know for late. But at the same time, these are problems that can be certainly tackled, provided a great deal of re-engineering process is brought about. That's the answer which has to be provided. These are my, initial words. I would certainly listen to the valued collective wisdom of all the brilliant personalities over here. Thank you very much, Dr. Venu, sir. Dr. Elangovan, sir. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Hanish, for your very pinpoint intervention. I have a question from the audience for Mr. Yusuf Ali. Mr. Yusuf Ali, you are online, I'm sure. So, we are quite proud that the state has given rise to someone who leads a transcontinental giant in the retail sector, and that there is considerable investment in the same retail sector coming from the same source to Kerala as well. However, the COVID pandemic has changed things across the world. The question to Mr. Yusuf Ali is, in the post-COVID situation, what are the specific challenges in the retail sector and how do you see it growing, particularly with reference to your investments in Kerala?
See, at this moment, everybody knows that the situation is not that much good, that much progressive because of the pandemic. We never expected, or world never expected, that this will happen within due course. Within 1 month, within 2 months, it's happened. So we were not prepared to take this challenge because e-commerce should be, our e-commerce division was not doing well before because we were not prepared and we were not concentrating. Now we understood that e-commerce is necessary. So now we are increasing our platform and our delivery area. So within 6 months, we will bring our own platform to cater our community, number one. Number two, this lockdown, everybody knows, has affected our business. 4 months, 5 months lockdown. And also now our capacity is 80,000 customers a day. Now we cannot allow to enter not more than 20,000 because of a social distance. And we want to be according to the COVID protocol. But we hope, everybody lives with hope. We hope that this situation we can overcome. And our projects which we finalized, including Trivandrum, including Calicut, including Kottayam, all is on this track, right track, we can say. So we hope, we have to wait and we have to face the loss. That is very important, especially in the hospitality. We have got our Hyatt Hotel in Kochi, which for 5 months was not running. Marriott Hotel, another hotel chain is not working. So we have to face the challenge, not only in India, all world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yusuf Ali. That was quite candid, but actually you put the spotlight on the necessity for e-commerce, for
Yes.
even for giants like you, when you are changing the way you did business. I think it's an important takeaway for entrepreneurs and industrialists attending this session. I have a set of 3 questions for Mr. Chris Gopalakrishnan. I'll start with one on policy. Yesterday, during the discussion on industries, the industry session, an academic from South Korea discussed smart industrial policies in the context of that country. Smart industrial policies to aid the growth of knowledge and technology-led industries. So what are the possibilities, what in your view are the kind of smart components in an industrial policy that can help aid or aid the growth of digital technologies in the state? What should we be looking at from a policy point of view? The second question is a little personal, I think, from someone. Is work from home culture here to stay, particularly in IT? How does this affect education and probably technical education in the current scenario? Third, you mentioned that India mostly has only back-end processes in information technology. How can we change this into having businesses and companies that are looking at cutting-edge real technology work in Kerala? Mr. Chris Gopalakrishnan, please.
Thank you. See, the government has 2 roles when it comes to regulation and policy, mainly 2 roles. One is an enabling role, second is an enforcing role. In the enabling role, the government has to look at, first is capacity creation, which is education, skilling, capability building, even providing know-how and things like that. Now, when I say government has to enable this to happen. Government may not directly get involved in delivery of these services. The government has to enable the delivery of these services. So on the skilling side. The second is to create pilot opportunities. And in many cases, government can enable the pilots to happen by becoming a consumer for that product or service. So the pilot opportunities such that these new ideas can be tested in a safe and secure environment without creating havoc or harming the stakeholders. The third is based on that pilot, you need to go back and revisit your assumptions and things like that and enable to change whatever is required to change. Fourth is resources, making resources available, including looking at ease of doing businesses, because many a time these businesses will require either change in existing regulations or new regulations to be created. So again, we need to look at that. And last but not the least, the full rollout of this very quickly, because the business has invested in creating a new product or a service. So you need to ensure that this product or service will actually yield returns for the business so that they can invest more, they can have confidence in the state. So, whatever I said, let me now explain by, a concrete example. Taxi aggregation services by a provider like Ola or Uber, etc. Right? It's a disruption to the existing model of taxi services. It is beneficial to the consumer. It changes the way you engage with the taxi driver, the ownership of the vehicle. There are so many aspects to this. So how do you actually enable something like this to be piloted, tested, capacity created, etc., such that something like this ultimately benefits all stakeholders to the best of possibilities, right? So that is what I mean by smart regulations and things like that. And this is now required. So, if you want to enable a service like a homestay, right? How do you enable this to happen? You need to have lightweight set of regulations because these homestay people cannot be considered to be equal to a very large hotel chain or something like that. So what are the lightweight set of regulations that are required in order to do that? Now, if you do that, it is possible that every home becomes a homestay also in the future, right? And home ownership changes, etc. Now, these are the transitions that are happening in society, and government must enable these to be piloted in a safe, secure way. And if there is benefit to majority of the stakeholders, how can this be rolled out very quickly? Now, your second question was about work from home. I believe that in the future, our work patterns are going to be hybrid. A certain percentage of people are going to stay at home and work. This may be rotated. So the same set of people may not continue to work from home in the next week or the week after, etc. A different set of people may work from home. There are many, many benefits to this. One, women participation increases. Second, flexibility, so that you can take care of time, personal work, and the flexibility in timing. You can offset, vacation time. You can work from anywhere. And in my speech, I talked about how we can flip this whole idea of employment generation by enabling every single person of working age in Kerala to be an employee of businesses anywhere in the world. And our employment exchanges actually becoming a platform for people to find work, but more importantly, for industry to sign up gig workers, right? Again, a new thought. Now, this may require regulatory change and things like that. But the bottom line is work from home is here to stay. How much of that will happen will depend on the industry, the business, and we will have a hybrid model going forward. And the last is about IT industry and back-end processes. The industry has moved away from back-end processes long time ago, right? Now, IT services is a specific industry. We are the best in the world for that. Now, don't confuse that with any other part of the IT industry. IT industry consists of hardware development, selling of hardware. It consists of products. It consists of services. Now, what Indian companies have done very well, in fact, if you look at the top 10 companies in the world, 5 are Indian today. Recently, TCS market cap was above Accenture's market cap, right? So what Indian companies have done extremely well is the ability to provide services to businesses in the world. And we have become the best in the world for doing that. Now, we will need to create IT product companies. We are doing that. In fact, I briefly saw VK Matthews there. We are one of the best companies in in providing logistics and services to the transportation industry, sitting in Trivandrum, IBS. Suntech is another company which is providing several services to financial industry and telecom industry and things like, again sitting here in Kerala. So there are many examples of product companies which are there, and you will find many more actually. Some of the better known ones are Zoho, Freshdesk. We should also popularize IBS, Suntech, etc., the homegrown, Kerala-grown companies. And in the electronic digital computing hardware and things like that. So there are different parts of the industry, and in every part we must actually try to become world-class and top class and the best in the world. We have done that in the IT services industry, and industry has progressed to now support every aspect of the business which can be created as a service. Every aspect of the business that can be created as a service, including engineering services, R&D services, design services, software development services, maintenance services, remote infrastructure management, business process management. It's huge now, and we are the best in the world in doing that.
Thank you, Chris. It's always refreshing to get such clarity. A question is asked and the question has been put to rest, put to bed really. Thank you very much for those views. I have a question or a couple of questions from the tourism side. Now, yesterday I had the honor of chairing the tourism session, which was very lively. One of the things that came up repeatedly was this the trauma that the industry is going through in the absolute devastation of the tourism business across the world and also in Kerala. But in this dreary situation itself, there are some rays of hope, and one of the questions I've received actually focuses on that. But there is a personal element also to this. My son, as one of young professionals across the country, had spent several months back with his parents. He got bored, and then again, like thousands of young professionals, decided that they will rather have the risk of contracting corona than live with their parents, and they left home. But what is interesting is that before he left, he realized that several of his friends and old classmates, particularly from the north, had camped in places like Varkala. Now, Varkala is running full, I'm told. Many of the budget hotels and homestays are running full because of young professionals working away from office, but also away from home. Now, this brings me to this question, which probably Mr. Yusuf Ali, with his extremely astute knowledge of our state and about the tourism sector, can perhaps throw light on. It is about work from home and about the hundreds, perhaps thousands of houses, and room inventory that we have in our state. Several houses, apartments, which have been purchased by NRIs are lying empty. Now, is there a potential for us, not as a vacation destination, but as a staycation, as a work near home, kind of a new normal that has been imposed upon us? Do you think that there is possibilities that we can exploit this? If so, the tourism department should look at this carefully. Your views, please, Mr. Yusuf Ali. Is Mr. Yusuf Ali online? Can you just check? Right. We'll come to that. We'll come to that question.
Can I give my perspective briefly?
Please, Chris, go ahead.
So this is where a platform needs to be created. A technology platform needs to be created where these can be listed, and consumers can actually access them. And this is a opportunity for a startup to come up to list such facilities and optimally use those facilities. This also can be used to look at the smaller platform by themselves, but they can take advantage of such platforms. And to your question about what is the opportunity for Kerala? The opportunity for Kerala is in the leisure travel, and that's what is going to come up faster than business travel. Personal travel and leisure travel will come back faster. Everybody whoever I talk to wants to get out of home. If you can ensure that you are creating a safe environment, they are willing to come. And I'm already seeing, you talk about Varkala being full. It's just not Varkala, but every leisure location is actually becoming full. And it will be domestic tourists first, tourists using car to reach there. I think that will happen first, and we should take advantage of that.
Because I think that also puts the matter succinctly. I think there is space here for a wonderful technology innovation just waiting to happen. Dr. Ilangovan, if you are here, can you field these questions? I have 2 points. One is the general point about MSMEs and the recent innovations or recent facilities that the Department of Industries, the Government of Kerala have extended. Can you throw light on that is the first part. The second is, there is a question about R&D facilities in partnership with private sectors, with private sector players in the state. If there are any new initiatives, can you throw light on these, please? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Both are very relevant questions. Regarding MSMEs, the department is of the firm view that with the definition of MSMEs getting changed from a limit of 10 crore investment to 50 crore investment categorized as MSMEs, virtually every institution in Kerala is an MSME. My own assessment is close to 90% of the industrial houses are all MSMEs. Keeping this in mind, the government has very carefully enacted a legislation called Kerala MSME Facilitation Act in the year 2019. What does it mean? This act means that automatic approval will be given to people for industrial licensing. It is a path-breaking legislation, maybe first time in India that a state has gone from a questioning model to a trust model. When an entrepreneur applies online and certifies that he has not violated any laws or the acts or the rules, and if he certifies that the land use pattern is not violated, and if he certifies that this doesn't fall in the red category of the state pollution control board order, he is eligible to get what is known as an acknowledgement letter, which entitles him to start an enterprise right away for 3 years. In these 3 years and another 6 months of grace period, he can apply for a formal industrial licensing and get it. No inspection will be made in the first 3 years. Here, up to 20,000 square feet of buildings can also be constructed. This is a one legislature that enables an instant start of entrepreneurs for MSMEs. That is number one. Number two, now we have a huge focus of MSME in KSIDC, also in KFC, to ensure that more number of people are assisted by the state financial institutions rather than by giving a huge amount of loans. For instance, close to 3,000 worth of crores of loans has been given so far by KSIDC to more than 4,700 units in the state over the years. To be specific, in the last 4 years, we have distributed 223 crores for 4,700 units in this thing. That's point number two. Point number three, see, the MSMEs have a huge issue of the land cost being the front-loaded cost. So to defray the cost, what we have done is we have done a series of reforms in the rules and said, don't pay the entire cost at one go. Pay 20% first and the remaining 80% you can pay in the next 4 years without any interest. The interest on capital of these 4 years will be borne by the state government. I'm thankful to the State Planning Board Vice Chairman and everyone who has given a provision of 10 crores last year as a startup process. So land cost is also deferred system is being now adopted. That has reduced the burden of the MSMEs to a very great extent. 4, we are now basically upgrading the institute. It's called Kerala Institute of Entrepreneur Development into a state level institutions modeled on the Ahmedabad Institute of Entrepreneur Development on the basis. The planning board, the department is very keen to pump in more money and create a state-of-the-art center, basically to develop entrepreneurs. This will give the so-called much-needed link between a graduate student and an employee. This is going to make them more employable. So this is one thing that's a major initiative of this government, that KEED in Ernakulam will be a state nodal office, basically of national standards. Number 5, on these MSMEs, basically what we have done is that I'm going to the second question. I want to be brief because there's so much of point to be covered. So MSMEs are become the focus of the department, rightly so, and that there is a financial and there is other issues, other incentive that is being given to MSMEs. Coming to R&D centers for MSMEs. This is where I want to mention that yesterday's session on the modern industries possibilities also, very clearly things have come out that it is high time that the industry, the academia and the government has to sit together and create a synergy for making research and development as part of the industrial promotions. Yesterday we have said that in all the industrial parks, minimum of 5% of area should be given for research and development centers. So I call upon all the industry leaders and industrialists here to join hands with the department to create a culture of research and development on industrial development. And MSME, we are going to have as exclusive MSME Microfinance Corporation that will be very soon launched by the Honorable Chief Minister. That will have over 100 crores equity, 100 crore set of corpus fund for assisting exclusively for MSMEs. So these are the incentives for MSMEs, and the research and development is a felt need.
Sorry to intervene, Dr. Ilangovan. Thank you. Since the address of Honorable CM will have to be scheduled immediately, I have one short question for Mr. Yusuf Ali, and then it will be the Chief Minister's address. Mr. Yusuf Ali, there is a question about how we can expand our retail sector, particularly when Kerala is such a big consumer of garments, food. Do you think that food and agro industries and the garment industry can actually produce material that can be consumed by the state, so the production of such materials also can be done in Kerala itself? Appreciate if you can have a quick response, because Honorable Chief Minister is ready to make the address. Thank you.
Honorable Chief Minister, very happy to see. See, in my speech, I mentioned that we exported about 300 to 400 crores of fruits and vegetables and snacks from Kerala. Kerala has a lot of potential for organized retail also, and also export. So in our case, now we are going to expand our retail chain of hypermarkets in state of Kerala, which is coming in Calicut and Kottayam and other places. So the organized retail we require for the future generation also in Kerala. And also, a lot of international retailers visited Kerala, and they saw that a lot of potential products are available in the state of Kerala. Like one fruit we brought from Wayanad, an example, is durian. We say durian. Nammalode chakka, or special type chakka. That is 5 times higher price from Thailand and other tropical countries. I mean, like Indonesia and Malaysia. So we can develop agriculture, not only for the domestic market, but also for export, number one. And also, one difficult problem that we are facing is packaging. So there are a lot of good, we can invite a lot of investors for food processing because the agriculturalist will benefit, export will increase, and also for the local organized retail. So I request Honorable Chief Minister to form an Export Development Authority or Export Promotion Council, Government of Kerala. They should oversee what all products can export from Kerala, number one, and also what they can contribute for the packaging. Packaging is very important for international market. And the same, our consumers in Kerala will also get the same quality, same packing. This is a reply. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for those creative suggestions. And that brings us to the close of the discussion and Q&A session at this special industry session. And now for the closing remarks, I'd like to have Mr. Pinarayi Vijayan, the Honorable Chief Minister of Kerala, to address us.
Brothers and sisters, Kerala's development experience has evoked keen interest among scholars at the international level. The topmost priority of the present government has been to consolidate and strengthen the gains of the state in different spheres. Our government is investing in new generation public schools throughout Kerala with the objective of making the best possible school education available to every child in the state. The state has also taken steps to make the health delivery system effective and inclusive. Kerala's economy has been growing at a pace faster than the national average. In 1917-18, per capita income of Kerala was 55.2% higher than the Indian average. The main engine of Kerala's economic growth has been the services sector. It is important to note that the services sector in Kerala has been riding on the state's achievements in human development and also from the connections that Kerala has had with the wider world from historical times. An important stimulus to Kerala's economic growth has been the large supply of skilled workers and professionals in the state, including nurses, engineers, doctors, media professionals, and a wide The state government is committed to the building of a strong and diversified manufacturing sector in Kerala that will derive benefits from the domestic market. The focus will be on environmentally friendly enterprises. Globally, manufacturing is becoming more automated and knowledge intensive with the advances in what is described as Industry 4.0. While this raises concerns about employment generation, Kerala is better equipped than most others in coping with the new challenge. A relative abundance of educated and skilled workers, a long history of entrepreneurship, and exposure to the wider world are our specific strengths. Kerala has a thriving information technology, IT sector. The Technopark was one of the first of its kind in India and still one of the largest technology parks in the country. We now have at least 6 more major IT parks across the state, including Info Park in Kochi, cyber parks in Kozhikode and Kannur, and Technocity in Thiruvananthapuram. We are confident of a major revival in the growth of food and agro-based industries in Kerala. Kerala produces a rich variety of agricultural products, including rice, coconut, rubber, pepper, cardamom, banana, and pineapple, and many other varieties like a variety of chakka. Yes, our Yusuf Ali said. The state has substantial forest and marine resources. We are keen to kickstart the production of pharmaceuticals in Kerala, and the public sector unit, Kerala State Drugs and Pharmaceutical Limited, KSDP, is making advances in this direction. We believe in the importance of improving the availability of good quality generic medicines at affordable prices for the poor. Kerala is confident of making big advances in biotechnology and life sciences over the coming years. The recently inaugurated Life Sciences Park in Thiruvananthapuram offers world-class infrastructure facilities for biotechnology and life sciences based industries. Kerala aims to emerge as a significant player in the medical devices sector. Kerala State Industrial Development Corporation is setting up a petrochemical complex at Kochi. The petrochemical complex will benefit from its proximity to BPCL Kochi refinery. Steps have been taken to implement the industrial corridor project in Kerala that extends between Kochi and Coimbatore. We are determined to significantly improve Kerala's position among Indian states with respect to the ease of doing business. We have enacted laws to make the process starting business in the state simple, easy, and transparent. The growth of the productive forces in Kerala will be based on the application of science and technology to agriculture, industry, and other sectors. Over the next 5 to 10 years, our task is to ensure sustainable, environment-friendly economic growth and high levels of skill development and decent employment. One of the objectives of the international conference, Kerala Looks Ahead, has been to help chart a future path for industrial growth in Kerala. This conference has also been an occasion to announce to the world Kerala's resolve to build a modern industrial sector, harnessing the skills and enterprise within the state. The government of Kerala is committed to transform Kerala into a knowledge society. We have a specific roadmap for this. We invite you all to be our partners in this exciting process of building a modern economy and society in Kerala. As I already mentioned, there are many specific areas in which we would like you to cooperate with us. Our government will always be happy to listen to your ideas and to attend to your concerns. One word about the suggestion of Mr. M.A. Yusuf Ali to form an export promotion council that government will consider seriously and do the needful. Let us work together for a better and prosperous Kerala. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for throwing light on this thoughtfully put together plan for our future. I now invite Dr. Jain Jose, member Kerala State Planning Board, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Friends, it's indeed a privilege to offer a vote of thanks on behalf of the State Planning Board to what has been an exciting session on Kerala's industrial future. Of course, this session has been part of the Kerala Looks Ahead conference. And one of the objectives of this conference has been to evolve strategies to think about a future industrial and economic growth for Kerala, which is inclusive, ecologically sustainable, and above all, driven by technology and innovation. So we have had very good discussions today. In fact, we believe that this conference will turn out to be a path-breaking event, providing a clear roadmap for Kerala's economic and industrial future. So first of all, I would like to thank the Chief Minister for his continued support and also for his stress on technology-led growth for Kerala. It has been very heartening that we received words of encouragement from the captains of Indian industry. So we would like to thank in particular Mr. Ratan Tata, Mr. Azim Premji, Mr. Anand Mahindra, Ms. Kiran Majumdar Shaw, Mr. Chris Gopalakrishnan, Mr. Yusuf Ali, Dr. B. Ravi Pillai, and Dr. Azad Moopen for their valuable comments and also for taking part in the discussion. We would like to, from the planning board, we would like to thank Professor V.K. Ramachandran, who also offered the welcome remarks. He was also involved in the detailed planning of this event. We would like to thank the member secretary, Dr. V. Venu, for chairing this session. We received help in organizing this session. We received help from the Chief Minister's office, from the Department of Industries, Dr. Ilankovan, Mr. Rajamanikyam, who is the MD of KSIDC, and Mr. Hanish Muhammad joined the discussion. So we thank all of them. Finally, we would like to thank the planning board members who were very active in organizing this session, including especially Ms. Gayatri, Mr. Harshan, and also Mr. Dinesh Bhaskar from the Chief Minister's office. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Jose. And that brings us to the end of this special industry session. We request all of you to join us back at 2 p.m. sharp for the concluding session, where Nobel laureate Dr. Amartya Sen will be speaking to us. We really look forward to having all of you.